Hi, I am Anika. I am in 12th grade and I study in a boarding school in US. I felt honored when I was asked to interview such a great real world leader. The man himself who truly needs no introduction, Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani. We all know somebody who lives in one of the luxurious, big, city-like Hiranandani complexes. And I truly feel so honored to be able to interview him. So let's jump into that. Hi, I'm Anika, first off. So, one of my questions, my first one's going to be that whenever I personally am working in a group, I'm the head of the AV club, so whenever I'm heading a meeting, I always want everybody to see the end goal, see the goal being achieved, and be on the same page as me. I feel personally that it will help and speed up the process of reaching said goal. So as a leader, how do you make your entire organization see the future that you have envisioned?
In the beginning, it's very difficult because you have to build confidence and trust in the people who are working with you. Because there are two types of people who work with you, one who work for a living and one who works for working.
Yeah.
And so there's a major difference. So until the fact that the persons are only working for a living, then they would say 9 to 5 or whatever it is. I've done the day's work, I'm over, and I go home not bothered really whether the company is successful or not. On the other hand, if you are able to instill leadership values in terms of that inculcated among your people, that there is a certain objective, purpose for the purpose of the organization and their role is important, then you create a different sort of people within your organization. So it's all about building up that trust and faith in the people that they feel that it is A, their organization, B, that there is a purpose to the entire organization of what is happening over there. Once you do these two, then obviously the kind of people's effort into that direction is very, very high.
Everyone needs to
Yeah.
feel like it's our company,
It's
not
our
someone
company,
else's.
and there is also a fact that you have a purpose which is beyond just the profit motive of the company.
Yes.
So if you have something more than that and people align with that, so you have to first of all convince them, get them aligned to the fact that their purpose is greater than everything else. And once you do that, then people do get aligned. And there's a difference in terms of attitude of the people to the work, to the purpose of the organization, and then obviously that's how ultimately organizations grow successfully from time to time.
So I believe that everyone can be a leader, everyone has it in them, you just need to pull it out. Do you think that this statement can be false?
No, not at all. Everybody has the innate capacity to grow. Every person has an innate capacity to have leadership qualities. Uh, and the leadership quality doesn't necessarily mean you are at the top of the organization. Even the small departments or little departments of organization require leadership roles. So what happens is, let's say you're in a large company and you're now looking after only HR, or you're only looking after security, or you're looking after accounting. And that's not the total company. The company is doing maybe whatever the business or business. But when you look at that role, the person who heads that department or even subheads of that department and have people working under them, they have to indicate leadership roles in their department and so on and so forth. So leadership role is not necessarily at the top, which it is, of course, but it is also at below. And at every level, Even if you have 4 people working with you, you can have leadership for those 4 people who do it. So size is a number which is important, and of course when you have larger numbers, the type of leadership required is different. Because on a one-to-one, you're able to communicate sometimes, which you cannot communicate to a larger organization at one time. But so leadership is required at all levels.
Yeah.
Number 2, the type of leadership required at the smaller size as compared to the leadership required in larger companies obviously is going to be different, because you're not able to meet the person and communicate all the time. And still you have to create leadership values which communicate with the one and all.
Yeah. So I just got promoted to being the head of the AV club, which is really exciting for me. But now, instead of managing the entire club, I am managing 4 sub-heads who manage divisions and help the entire club process. So what advice would you give to someone like me who is heading so many people and more leaders?
So, first of all, why? One doesn't look at why, because environment may give you an opportunity, the company can give you an opportunity, somehow or the other opportunity falls on your table. But the question is that how do you take up that opportunity? Some people grow in an opportunity in leadership roles, some people fall because they're not able to handle the difference between the leadership at the lower level and when they rise like you have, and are not being able to handle that type of leadership. But the point is that you can do both. You can do leadership at that level, and you can again do leadership at the level at which you have now risen. So both the leaderships are possible. It's only up to you whether you really want it or not. If you really want it and desire it and work towards it, you will do it. There's no doubt about it. I have full confidence in you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I find that when you're clear with your own values and you surround people with similar values as you do, it just everything processes better. You can be a better leader. So how does seeing values clearly help you become a better leader?
Values are very important. And once you're clear about your values, obviously it's nice and comfortable to have all people having similar values. But when you have large number of people, it's not necessary at the first instance that they will value your value or appreciate what value you're doing. So the first and foremost is to be able to communicate and indicate to people what those values are and what is the meaning of those values. You have to literally market your value. You have to say that this is the purpose, this is the good thing, this is the purpose for which we are doing it. This is for the good of them, it's good for the company, it's good for the nation, it's good for the industry. So once you do that, you have to first not only have values, but to be able to sell those values. The sell is a marketing word, but in reality you have to market it and be able to sell so that the values which you are wanting them to have, they also have. To think that everybody you can find who has the same values is not possible. So what you have to do is, and especially when numbers are large, so you have to market your values, convince them, and then encourage them to be with you in terms of the value proposition that you are putting up. Obviously, the larger the number, more difficult to convince, but ultimately people have done it and you grow into it. So once you're habituated and your values are genuinely good, it's not just that you project it as good values, but they're actually good. So if they're actually good, even if everybody is not convinced, it doesn't matter, but the majority of people will be with you. And I think that is extremely important to do it. So communication of the values, convincing them, marketing it to them, and then knowing that once they are also convinced with what you want, they will probably rise up to what expectations you have of them.
Yes. So I have thought a lot about what values are important to me, and I've come to the conclusion that people should be trustworthy. They should have a certain amount of dedication towards their work, and they should have a loyalty to people around them. So these are values that are really, really important to me. So what values would you say are important to you?
I mean, these are the most important things. Trust and commitment is extremely important. Today, you also need, over and above this, these two are the main ingredients really. But basically, if you want to rise, you have to have a passion for it. It's not simply that I want it, but you really should want it if you want to be a super success in that field of leadership or in any other field. If you have that fire in the belly and you desire that you want to do it, you will definitely achieve. If you just want it, then if you come towards hurdles and problems, you'll say, I tried to do it, but I failed.
Yeah.
But if you say, I want it and I must do it, you will face 50 hurdles, but you will still achieve it. So the question is the difference between what you said in terms of alignment to it is the fact that you have to have the desire for something much more than just want. I want it. How much are you willing to put in to make it happen?
Yes.
That's the difference. So if you really say, I want to achieve something and do a difference in terms of achievement, the only way you can possibly do it is to have that fire in the belly and a passion over and above the trust and other things that you mentioned, which is the basics.
Yes. My father always says there's a difference between I want it and I need it.
Sure.
Yeah, he always says that a need is really different from a want. A want is something you can easily give up. It's not something that's a necessity in your life, whereas a need is something that even it might seem like a small thing to someone else, but if you need it, you will always work really hard and you will go over every obstacle to achieve it.
Right. You like a guy and you want him, you'll do everything.
Yeah.
No hurdles, right? Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview with me and answering the questions so nicely. It felt amazing talking to someone who is a leader in the real world and has actual experience leading a lot of people and heading a company. It really is inspirational to everyone my age. I'm sure this is really inspirational to see how a person is such a great leader and how his thoughts, his values, and how everything he thinks about, everything he wants, how he converts it into something that so many other people want as well.
So I'm very happy to meet you, Anika. Congratulations. And I think it's wonderful that you have been able to imbibe the leadership ideas and thoughts and what it really means. And I think it will make a world of a difference if this is incorporated in teaching and learning for every person on this earth. I think the more they learn, we'll have greater and better leaders and better people to look after the future of the earth.
One of the biggest responsibilities of anyone working with young people is to help them understand themselves and the place they want to take in their world. Giving them the time, opportunity, and experience they need to develop and practice leadership behaviors help them become better leaders today and continue to make a difference for the tomorrows to come. At Xceedibles, we do this very diligently. Our unique coaching program has a vibrant community of young people backing the learning experience for each student, thus giving them a safe space to practice what they learn. With consistent practice, they exceed their own abilities in the real world. While coaching teenagers, I have discovered that there is a positive correlation between the 5 practices and performance in classrooms, schools, colleges, and communities. In words of Jim Kouzes, good leaders make better performers. Are you curious to know what your teenager is really capable of? Does your teenager show signs of leadership and wants to learn how to behave like one? Has your teenager always felt like a leader and wants to increase self-confidence in leading? Do you wish to see your teenager transform and go about achieving their dreams?